And so this is the second cycle that we're doing of the Circle of Light. The first cycle was all about truth, and we investigated the many shades and elements of truth, literally by investigating truth through the elements themselves. So we did a journey with truth, working with the truth of fire, the truth of earth, the truth of water, and the truth of air. And we also included discourse about the three levels of the shamanic tree of life. So, in fact, going into your journey is a multifaceted arena for you to create or experience whatever story that comes its way for you. So, I'll just recap what the medicine wheel is in its basic formation. The medicine wheel in its basic formation is in the practices that we're using, the east being fire, the west being the element of earth, the south being the element of water, and the north being air. And that differs from system to system depending on where you're coming from. But for the medicine wheel teachings of the traditional American Indian medicine wheel teachings, we've got our fire opposite the earth on the east and west, and the water and air on the north and south. Now, we'll always begin with one direction for each cycle. So we're looking at the theme of strength. And first of all, we always look at it through the element of fire to pick up what the symbology, what the meaning of strength is to us, as well as working with fire. And the reason why I do a week for each of the elements is because we are made of the four elements plus the element of spirit. So our eldest ancestors, as far back as we could go, are in fact the elements. So when we get back, we travel as far back as we like, but we eventually reach the basic elements of creation, which are the fire, the earth, the water, and the air. And there's numerous medicine songs created throughout lots of different traditions about the elements. And the thing I love about the elements is that they are absolutely universal, and you can connect to them by the simple understanding that the furthest back you can go, you find the elements in your own ancestral lineage. You can go back through your families, through your relationships, through your family trees, but eventually it all boils down to the elements. So it's a primal image within everybody. And tonight we'll be working with fire, most definitely, fire in all of its forms. But we'll be working with fire and considering strength in our life. So this is a reflection circle just as much as it is a journey and practice circle. So we're really looking at how strength is in our life, how much of strength is expressed and how much of strength is repressed, and how much of strength are we not noticing in our life. Perhaps there are many moments of strength that we actually have, but we're not necessarily recognizing those areas of strength in our life. So one part of strength for me that was just dawning on me today is everything has a strength. Everything has a strength, because for it to be in existence, it must have its own innate strength and nature. And we started this cycle with truth. And the purpose of me including strength as the second journey circle from truth was that once you've found a truth, I kind of felt that you need a strength to be able to add to the truth so that it becomes expressed in some way. Now, that might translate very differently to each of you in a different way. But my thought around this actual cycle of themes was exactly that. Once we've identified a truth in our life and we've explored the truth and what that means to us, we then want to go into giving it some will, impetus, power, or strength. And so where I've come in with the word strength is about the impetus that that truth has. If we think about the journey of the zodiac, we always begin with Aries coming in as the fiery horned bull, directly coming in with this emblazing creative spark and spirit. And if you think of that as a truth, then the next thing it's going to have is some strength or gather some impetus to move around and spread itself. And it's the same kind of idea with this cycle that we're going through, the different themes. So we've had our truth, and then we're moving into our strength that that truth gives us. And sometimes, like I say, we have our own strengths repressed. We repress them ourselves because we have an element of perhaps shame or an element of fear about our strengths, or we express them overtly. Perhaps we're overly strong with things. Perhaps we're over controlling. Perhaps we use our strength in moments where perhaps we should consider if there's another aspect of us that we could be using. And so to journey with strength, first of all, we're going to have a meditation with strength, and I'm going to bring in the idea of allies. So power allies, these are your guides in the land of non-ordinary reality and shamanic journeying. An ally is a guide, and as we'll be working this month with strength, we're going to connect to an ally, a guide, which represents for us strength. And that's going to be our first journey tonight. So before I introduce the journey, does anybody have any questions or reflections so far? Does anybody have any changes that they're feeling they would have on their own journey with strength and fire? All right. You don't have to, but maybe what I've said resonates a little bit differently with you in a different way, perhaps. Nothing is 100% set in stone with our shamanic workshops. You can feel free to amend the words, amend the thought forms to suit you, and so that you still are going through a journey, but you're getting exactly what you need from it. So in order to go on to a shamanic journey, we begin by engaging our active imagination, and the active imagination takes you to a tree. Active imagination is actively imagining that you are in another place, or your senses are completely engaged in another place and time. So for this example with shamanic journeying, we always go back to being at a tree that we know, that a tree that you know in your life, a tree that you can quite easily say, I know the bark of that tree, I know the leaves of the tree. You might not know the name of the tree, or or the breed of the tree, but you'll know the bark and the branch and the leaf, and you'll know the season at which you were at the tree. You'll know how the wind moves through the leaves of the tree. And you'll know perhaps the busyness of the nature within the tree, the birds and maybe people around it, or other nature animals around it. So your task for the first journey is to tell yourself the story of the tree in your imagination. Build the tree up. Build the tree up, remembering what it's like to be there. Engage your sense of touch, remembering what it's like to touch the ground around the tree. Remembering what it's like to feel the air around the tree. and remember what it's like to see every part of that tree. So engage as all of your senses, and this is your job to do. Shamanic journeying is about your ability to engage your imagination to a point where your subconscious takes over and guides you to present you with images that you need to see at this moment. And you will find that those images that you're being given as you're in this imaginative play are not just images and messages for yourself, they're images and messages for everybody. Because shamanic journeying essentially was done by a council of elders in a community, and their messages and their reflections on their journeys were shared for the good of the community or for the good of a patient who'd come to see them for some counseling and healing. So the first journey will be 10 minutes with the drum. Always do remember to keep telling yourself a story about this tree, about where you are, and you're looking to meet with an ally or a guide that represents your strength. And don't be surprised if you're given an ally to begin with, and then it quickly moves into another ally. You could actually get through many different guides before you finally reach the guide that you know is your strength. Perhaps you already have in mind a guide that you think it's going to be, and if you do, well, that's fine. So if you've already got one in mind, go to your tree and then picture the guide that you think it's going to be and ask that guide to show you the way to your ally of strength. Follow them, and if it turns out that their journey ends with giving you them as your ally for strength, then that's it. But don't ever discount the fact that you've already got a kind of thought in your head as to what's going to happen. Go with it. That's the story. That's how easy it's going to be for you to tell yourself the story of this journey. Now, when you meet with the ally, the first guide at the tree, you want to present them in a way, either spoken words or a sense, a message across to them. It can be a psychic message where you just deeply connect with them and you feel the question, which is, are you my ally for strength? You can even do the same thing and connect deeply and ask them, how do I call you in? And the third question is, how do I honor you in my life? So you're looking deep inside yourself for strength, and you're going to give yourself the imaginative story, which will lead itself to presenting you with a form. So it could be a person, it could be an animal, it could be a feeling in your body. It could be that strength rests somewhere within you, which is a part of your body, and you get given the message, if you need to call on strength, put your hand on your shoulder. It could be that you're presented with Yogi Bear, and your imagination has gone and said, Yogi Bear is your ally for strength. Whenever you need strength, you must think of Yogi Bear. Because we're going to go on a journey after that with this ally for strength, and we're going to take them into fire to see how strength and fire work for you in your life. So, my original sound on for music. So when you go into a journey, it's best to have a blindfold or a bandana on, if you're comfortable with that, because you're in a sense of having complete darkness around your eyes and around your space. It's only going to be a 10-minute journey. I will drum for 10 minutes, and at the end of the 10 minutes I'll drum quite rapidly and quickly so that you know that's the end of the journey, and that's when to return back to your tree, because your journey could take you so far. It could take you into the sky, into the stars. It could take you underground into the lower realms of the tree of life, which is where your ancestral realms are. It could keep you in the present world, in the here and now, where you're thinking, what is strength to me and what is my ally for strength? Wherever it takes you, when you hear me drumming quite quickly, that's your sign to return to the tree and get ready to be in ordinary reality, where you're going to journal and make notes about the experience you've had. Okay? Here we go then. 10 minutes.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
So we're not thinking about fire yet to do with strength, or we're just thinking about power, ally, guide, what represents strength.
You're going to find your guide for strength, because then we're going to work
Right.
with that guidance over the next 4 weeks as we go through each element. So we're going to then go later, after we've shared our allies, we're going to go into the journey with fire, take them into a journey with fire.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Amazing.
Could you just remind me of the 3 questions quickly, please?
Are you my strength? How do I call you? And how do I honour you? So what can I do?
Lovely, thank you.
Honouring is about what can I do in my day-to-day life to give thanks.
Can I ask a question, please? I can hear Rob and Glynis really well, but I can't hear you very well.
Oh, I wonder if my microphone's the correct microphone. Hang on. No, I haven't got my right microphone plugged in. Hang on. There we go. This should come on now. Let me put the microphone. Select a microphone. Here we go. Something's happening. There we go. Must know that should be better. Kate. All back. Here we go. Ready for the journey then. Sorry about that, everyone. It's one of those things. 10 minutes. Here we go. Imagining your journey towards that tree now. Imagining and feeling all of your senses engage as you cross a field to the tree in the distance, where you meet with the vision and the image of that tree. And as you meet with the shape and the form of the tree, colour it, give it texture and form, bring it into being, bring it into real time, and then allow the nature to form around it, and eventually at some point invite the guide of strength to join you.
tree. Come back, come back, come back to me. Take a few moments now to journal and write about the journey that you've just had, honouring every moment that you remember. As soon as you can, bring it into this reality with pen and paper. And when you're ready to, if anybody wants to share or reflect on their journey with strength, then please do. Pause. So going for the journey of fire and strength. the tree, return, return, return to me. When you're ready, just pick up your pen or whatever you're writing with and make some notes on that journey. Write down some notes on that journey. I'll just give you a minute or two to do that, and then any final shares. And as you're writing that, I just want you to know that during the next week, as we journey with strength, notice how that shows up for you during the week. Notice how and where perhaps it's expressed and how you feel it, and how and where it's repressed or perhaps where it's taken away from you. Feel into a moment when you actually are feeling strong, and notice how and when that feeling of strength changes.